What's up, guys? Ian here, coach of your Ladner Lanturn, bringing you guys our Week 1 Team Builder, taking on Veno and the Gurdurrians of the Galaxy here in UPA-D League Season 4. Like I mentioned in the draft analysis, I'm not confident that I'm going to do super well here, so, keep your eye out for my losses in this season. Yeah, apologies that the logo is going to be covering up the last mon there. That's kind of a theme. It's just this one is square, so it's going to cover it up completely instead of partially, like the NCL and red logos. All right, Veno is a Hive Beedrill player. That's about all I know. I think he's in LD Majors as well. Basically, he's in the big leagues, and so it's a little bit interesting that he's playing UPA-D. His team's interesting, so let's run through it here. He's got the Z, Tapu Koko, Weavile, Hawlucha, Mega Garchomp, Slowbro, Shaman, Registeel, Seismitoad, Drapion, Z Salazzle, and Granbull. So his team is like bulky, but it's bulky without recovery, bar like Slowbro, Shaman. Mons like Registeel doesn't get recovery, Seismitoad, bulky Drapion, Granbull has to rely on Z Heal Bell, which it can't use because it's not a Z user. So there's not a lot, like it's mainly the Slowbro and the Shaman that are permanent bulk, and the rest of it just feels temporary to me. Priority users is just the Weavile with Ice Shard. I don't believe anything else gets anything. I could be blanking on Drapion getting Sucker Punch, but like I'm fairly confident the amount of times I played Drapion, it's never clicked Sucker Punch ever. Hazard users, Mega Chomp with Rocks, Registeel with Rocks, Seismitoad with Rocks, and Drapion with T-Spikes. Removal options, Koko with Defog, Hawlucha with Defog. That's it. So that's pretty poor removal given the team. It's not necessarily that weak to Rocks. It's just the Weavile and Salazzle. But Koko and Lucha, neither of them really want to run Defog. So that's kind of something to clue in on my side there for sure. 4 times weaknesses, he's got the Weavile to Fighting, Garchomp to Ice, Seismitoad to Grass, and Salazzle to Ground. I have most of them covered, I believe. I've got Amoonguss, obviously, considering your screen here, has 2 of them covered by itself. Yeah, I've got that covered, and that I don't think that I have any ice coverage. That might be the only thing. Spoiler alert. No, I do. Okay, so I've got them all covered. In terms of what I don't think is coming on his side, the only thing I really don't see coming here is the Weavile, surprisingly. I think Weavile is kind of the only thing that doesn't make a ton of sense against me. He might want to bring it as like a Torn or a Hydra Revenge Killer, a Moongus, things like that. Maybe as some way to beat Necrozma, which he would otherwise generally have a bad time with. But I think Drapion makes a lot more sense here as a Dark type for him. It's really hard for me to justify him bringing Weavile when I have Scizor, Conk, and Monferno that all just pick it off with priority, and I have mons like Guard that are clearly going to be running Scarf. Spoiler alert, I'm Scarf Guard. Clearly going to be running Scarf against him. It just, I don't know. I'm pretty iffy on the Weavile. I really am. It's kind of walled by Scizor. It's got to run like Nat Gift, Fire, but it also wants like Life Orb. It's really tough for me to call in this matchup. I think everything else is perfectly fine. I was considering Mega Swampert. I guess I'll talk about Mega Swampert now instead of later. I was very much considering Mega Swampert because it looked really good against a lot of his team. Just like throw off a Power-Up Punch and then just hit shit, like 4 attacks, Adamant, Mega Pert. And then I saw Slowbro and Shaman, and I was like, well then, guess that plan's out the drain. Or down the drain, I mean. They both kind of just like fuck Mega Pert really hard, so I didn't want to deal with that. Didn't want to deal with that shit. So we're not bringing Rain. I think he might expect the Rain because it's decent otherwise, but I think Slowbro and Shaman are both going to come, and so I've kind of brought ways to deal with both Slowbro and Shaman rather than building for all of the walls. Like, for example, I don't think Granbull necessarily is going to show up because I don't think Hydra's got a really good matchup here against his team. I'm not entirely sure about the Mega rules, so let me just bring up the dock here on my other monitor. Because I completely forgot if this Garchomp is allowed to Mega Evolve whenever it wants or if it has to Mega first turn. If it'll load here for me, rules. Come on, any day now. Battle rules. It doesn't say. It doesn't say. So I'm going to have to verify that with an admin once I'm done recording this then. But in a sense, I've prepped for the Garchomp staying in regular form regardless. So that is what is up there. Kokolucha is definitely coming. It's way too threatening. It's not the best against me, but it's still way too threatening not to bring. I think Mega Chomp's a hard maybe, probably on the list of things that I would think are not coming if I had to be given an option. I think Salazzle makes a ton of sense. Otherwise, Scizor becomes way too much of a problem for this team. Registeel is really passive against me, but I don't have the best ways of abusing that. So sort of see about that. It's kind of just a passive wall for mons like Torn and Gardevoir that really piss it off, or that piss them off, so I should say. Seismitoad I think is going to come with Swift Swim or Water Absorb, one of the two. It's definitely not going to be Poison Touch here. Granbull, like I said, it might come for the Hydra, may have come as like a Mega Pert check. It might come as a Conch check. I could also see it coming as a Conch check. Those are kind of the ideas in my head here. We both have 11 Mons. I'm just going to get on with it. I'm bringing Coba Berry Amoonguss. This is a perfect switch into the Tapu Koko. If it is Brave Bird, like I'm expecting it to be, otherwise it's walled by Amoonguss, then that's perfectly fine with me. You know, he's got the electric terrain. I thought about bringing Spore, and then I was like, I can't even sleep anything because he's got electric terrain, so I'm bringing 100% accurate Toxics for mons like the Slowbro, mons like the Seismitoad. I mean, honestly, I'd rather click Giga Draining and Seismitoad anyways, but Slowbro in particular could be quite the issue for something like a Conch late game. And Toxic is just, in general, really good against most of this team. Unfortunately, kind of like brings in Registeel every single time, which again, I don't really want. I only have like one, like only Conch can kind of abuse Registeel coming in, so I'm not big on that. I do have the Sludge Bomb there to deal with mons like Shaman. This can switch into Shaman pretty easily as well. Psychic's not going to do all that much to me because I'm heavily Spadef invested. And then I've got Stomping Tantrum there to catch your random Salazzle Registeel switch in. You know, once he scouts out my set and realizes I don't have Spore, I figure he'll probably more than likely switch into Salazzle. He would be more tempted to switch into Salazzle if I don't have Spore, right? So, I can catch that with the Stomping Tantrum potentially, but definitely the Registeel if I need to stay on it, because I don't want to give that thing recovery. I'd like to chip it down so that it puts my guard in a position later later in the game to sweep. I didn't really EV this thing for anything in particular. I just kind of randomly threw the Spadef EVs in there, so we'll see if it works. Torn, fight Z-Torn. So I'm bringing Z-Torn week 1 because I'm not bringing Hydra anyways, obviously. I actually need Fight Z to break through the Registeel. I would love to run Fly Z instead because it just nukes the shit out of absolutely everything else bar Koko. But I don't want to rely on Focus Blast misses. I mean, I could still run Fly Z. I've kind of been like debating between the two all week. We pushed this game back like 3 days, so I had more time to just like rethink my plan. But it's more of a matter of, do I get off a nuke and kill something with Fly Z, or do I have a reliable way to break through the Registeel for Gardevoir to clean later? And I think as with Torn as being more of a pivot here, and it's kind of going to be my dedicated lead, it's essentially my answer to Seismitoad in a way. Just taunting that thing from getting up rocks. You know, it's my way to stop the Slowbro from just continuously setting up Calm Minds. I just really, you know, I don't have the move slots on Torn this week that I'd like. There's about 6 or 7 moves I'd like. I'd like U-Turn. I'd like Heat Wave because I'm not bringing the Rain. What else? I have Defog. Oh, I'd like Icy Wind for the Garchomp, you know, things of that nature. I'd like Knockoff as well. And unfortunately, I can't have all of them. I can only have what I have. I'm outspeeding Salazzle with this. That's the fastest thing I can outspeed realistically. I don't think the Hawlucha is going to run max speed anyways, so there's not really a point in me speed creeping Hawlucha. It's more than likely going to be like Adamant, bulky Hawlucha or something like that. So I'm just speed creeping Salazzle. Who knows? I probably am just going to miss the Hurricane anyways. We'll see. Torn's a bad Pokemon, and this team would be a lot better if I had Zeraora on it. I might hit up Leo and see if he's willing to trade me Zeraora at some point. Necrozma! This Necrozma has changed a little bit since I first put this team into my front office. I had a Colberberry. It was able to tank mons like Weavile pretty well and then hit back with an Earthquake and things like that. Able to tank like Throat Chop from Hawlucha, which is what I think is going to carry for me. I don't have like normally I have Zapdos on my teams. I'm so reliant on Zapdos. Yeah, so normally I have like Zapdos on my teams, and Hawlucha can't really beat that without Stone Edge. And obviously Stone Edge can miss, and it really doesn't want to run a Z Crystal because it's a Hawlucha. So there's all of those factors. And then, you know, Zapdos itself just forces Hawlucha to either run SD or sub. If it's sub, it can't break defensive Zapdos. It can just get pressure stalled out of Stone Edges and things of that nature. Or if I'm running static, it has to touch me at some point. And if it's SD, then it has to rely on hitting Stone Edge still. So I feel like Zapdos is a much better check to Hawlucha than Necrozma ever is. But Prism Armor makes it so that it's kind of the same thing. So this is obviously my dedicated check to that still. This can be a check to the Garchomp as well, which is kind of fun. I've got Earthquake there to hit mons like the Drapion. I don't have my Colbur Berry to tank hits from the Drapion anymore. So I guess my goal is kind of to get low because I'm a Pinch Berry. And then I've got Earthquake there to hit the Salazzle as well. It's Physical Photon Geyser, so... actually, it shouldn't be Physical Photon Geyser. It should still be Special Photon Geyser now that I'm looking at it. Just because I'm invested in an attack doesn't mean, like, my Photon Geyser, it takes off of the... if the attack is greater than Special Attack, but it's not right now. My Special Attack is still higher, so it should still be Special, which is good. I wanted that because Hawlucha gets a defense boost in Electric Terrain, so I wanted it to be Special Photon Geyser, and that's what it's going to be, so that's fine. As long as I don't get caught, like, clicking this against multiple things, then I'm fine. This is my Rocker, and then I've got Moonlight as well for recovery. Seems kind of weird considering I've got the Berry. I'd probably much rather have Toxic for something like a Slowbro or a Shaman or a Koko or things of that nature, but I don't expect Necrozma to last all game. It's kind of a mid-game wall, and then it can go down and do other things. As long as I get Rocks up, I'm probably sitting in a decent spot. The chip against mons like Slowbro and Shaman will be useful for other mons like Scizor in the back later. Guard, I'm bringing a Choice Scarf Guard. Actually, it was synchronized, and then Evan's like, yeah, you should bring Trace. And I'm like, yeah, why wasn't I not bringing Trace? So, bring Trace. I mean, honestly, the only reason I wasn't bringing Trace is because I really didn't think that any of these abilities were good for Gardevoir at all. Like, if I can trace, like, Rough Skin on Chomp or something, then that's probably okay. Or Regenerator on Slowbro, but everything else is pretty worthless on my guard set. Maybe Intimidate Granbull, but, like, really? I don't know. Just Dual Stab, Moonblast, Psychic. I didn't want Psyshock, because, again, I want a way to hit the Hawlucha. Moonblast is probably okay still, but I felt like Psychic was better in this matchup. I don't know why. I don't know why. Maybe Psyshock is better against like a Calm Mind Koko. I'll have to consider that actually. I think I will change to Psyshock. Healing Wish support for, I don't know, probably Conk or Scizor. They're kind of my win cons this game. Although I could obviously like Healing Wish up my Necrozma if I really needed to. I just didn't see me needing an extra move here besides like Focus Blast, which I'm just going to miss anyways. And I think the goal of this game, if I can't set up guard to break late game, like to win late game with Psychic Spam, is to get a trick off on either the Slowbro, the Shaman, or the Registeel, get a Scarf onto one of them. Hopefully the Slowbro, because that thing is just the most annoying piece of crap ever against my team. And I have better ways of dealing with, like, Registeel can't really touch Scizor, so my Scizor stat is like it can pretty much just set up on a Registeel. And if the Slowbro is like scarfed into something that isn't Flamethrower, then Scizor can probably set up on that too. So there's things to figure out there. I'm outspeeding Koko with the Scarf. There's nothing relevant without my Scarf that I need to be out speed creeping, so I don't really care about that. I should still outspeed most variants of Seismitoad. I can't imagine why he would want to be like near max speed Seismitoad this match anyways. A bulkier Drapion I should outspeed as well, because I'm running quite a bit of speed here. So things of that nature should still get outsped. A bulkier Mega Chomp as well. Just things to consider, bulkier Shaman. That is the Gardevoir there. Conk, AV Conk, this is a pretty decent switch in to mons like Shaman and Salazzle and Slowbro later on, especially if it's running... I mean, it really doesn't matter. With AV, Conk can take Psychics and Psyshocks. If it's Fizdef, it's really not a problem. If the Seismitoad's offensive, I can take hits from that. If the Garchomp is special, I can take hits from that. AV Conk is a pretty good blanket check against almost everything on this team. I'm not running Mach Punch to threaten out the Weavile. I don't think it's relevant. Again, I don't know if the Weavile is even coming, and I've got Bullet Punch on Scizor anyways, so it's not that big of a deal to me. Drain Punch is there mainly for the Registeel. Like I said, this can kind of come in on Registeel pretty freely. It's for the Drapion too. Poison Jab is there for the Koko, Granbull, and Shaman. Knockoff is there for the Slowbro, almost entirely for the Slowbro, but getting rid of anything's item would be really helpful. And then I've got Ice Punch there for the Garchomp. Excuse me, just in case I need it. It's for Garchomp and Hawlucha. Excuse me, so just a bunch of coverage, just max HP, max attack. Pretty basic ass conk set here. And then I've got Guts, obviously, so I can like absorb things like Scald Burns from the Slowbro and I don't have to worry about it. Thought about Facade over Ice Punch, but I really wanted the extra super effective coverage just in case I needed it. Last but not least is Scizor. So in the UPA PRs video, Brandon talked a lot about Veno's team being weak to like setup plus priority, and I definitely took that to heart. Scizor can kind of put in a lot of work here. You know, I outspeed all of his relevant walls naturally, except Seismitoad. I'm not going to outspeed the Seismitoad, which kind of sucks, and I didn't really want to invest to outspeed Seismitoad, although I definitely could. I might take a look at that after I'm done recording this, is just readjusting my speed a little bit, maybe taking off some attack investment and adding it to speed, to outspeed like mid-speed Seismitoad, because that would still be relevant. But and I'm not going to bullet punch that. But everything else is faster. Realistically, I'm probably going to bullet punch. And then everything else that's slower, I can Bug Bite. And yeah, besides the Salazzle, this Scizor is in a really good spot to kind of just like beat everything. I've got Roost there, so I can set up pretty easily on the Registeel. Like I said, it's set up fodder. It can't really touch me back unless it's got like HP Fire, and HP Fire is not really doing that much to me. Again, I'm thinking of considering lowering my attack rather than my HP, so I should still be able to take HP Fires pretty handily from that, especially with the Aqua Berry. I do think there's going to be some random fire tech on the team. Mons like Garchomp might run like Flamethrower or Fire Blast. I think the Slowbro might run Flamethrower or Fire Blast. I think the Shaman might run HP Fire. Doesn't really make sense. Like, if the Shaman's going to be like offensive, it's going to have D-Gleam for Hydra anyways, so it doesn't really need HP Ice. And it's got grass coverage for like Swampert, Pelipper, so HP Fire just makes a ton of sense on the Shaman set. And then Salazzle's obviously going to have fire coverage. I don't know if anything else would. Maybe like Fire Fang or Fire Punch or something on Granbull. I'm not entirely sure what it gets. But that is kind of what I'm looking at here with the Scizor. And I'll adjust the speed for Seismitoad because that does sound like a little bit of a better idea. So that is the team. Hopefully you guys enjoy. Oh, whoops. I'm not bringing stuff. Okay. Hydra. I'm not bringing Hydra. I don't really think there's a reason in particular I'm not bringing Hydra. It's a nice way to break through Slowbro, so it kind of sucks that it's not coming. I felt like Coco threatened it a little bit too much. The Chomp, if it doesn't Mega... I didn't want to bring a Scarf variant this week, and the Chomp, if it doesn't Mega Evolve, is a problem. Hydra, if it doesn't run Scarf this week, is also kind of an issue for me, just because his speed tiers are kind of a little bit weird. Like, most of the team is faster than like 5 of the 11 Mons are faster, and none of the other ones are relevant. So it'd be like a Specs Hydra or something, which I wasn't super comfortable with. And I'd rather have the Z on Torn and have Defog on Torn, and I didn't really need the Hydra over the things that I'm bringing. I could have brought it over like Necrozma, but then where's my Hawlucha check? So it's sort of just a blind path there. Heliolisk, I thought about bringing. It didn't look horrible. Nice way to break through Slowbro again. I'm not really bringing the ways to break through Slowbro for Mega Swampert. Otherwise, I probably could have built a separate version of this team that enables Mega Swampert a little bit more. I'm not. Oh, excuse me. Same thing with Megapert and Pelipper. There's not really a point in bringing Pelipper, in my opinion, if I'm not bringing Megapert. It doesn't really check anything on this team at all. Like, actually at all. It doesn't really check anything here. So Pelipper is pretty negligent in this matchup, and it's more of a hindrance than a help. And then Monferno actually doesn't look terrible. It could have been a decent rocker, but it's a little bit too frail for a matchup like this. It can definitely like set up rocks against almost all of the walls. It's still the Mega Slowbro, or sorry, regular Slowbro. It's still the regular Slowbro that ends up being a problem for it. So that is it for me. That's all the team and whatnot. We're taking on Veno and the Gurdurrians of the Galaxy. Keep an eye out for the match, and I'll catch you guys then.